So Vincent, bad art dealer. Theo rising in the ranks, and then Theo becomes like a very well-known, reputable art dealer who popularized like some of the huge artists that we know today, like Monet.
Yeah, he was early on
Degas,
Monet, big on Monet.
Early on,
He was
Monet.
an angel
Yeah.
investor.
Yeah, nobody thought Monet was shit, and he's like, this kid's gonna be somebody.
This guy's got the
Yeah.
new brown paint in town.
Theo had tremendous taste in art,
Yeah.
and so did Vincent. They both were so good at art, and a lot of their communication was just about like art.
Yeah, it was cool to see how Vincent was always sending his sketches in letters.
I did like that a lot. If you go look up the letters, you see that there's little depictions of the paintings he was working on, which is like the earliest email attachment.
Yeah.
Because you couldn't, he couldn't like send him the painting because that is the painting. So he
Right.
can't. He has to sketch it in the margins and then describe the colors to him.
I went to, they had a big Van Gogh exhibit at the Met.
Yeah.
It might still be there. Nobody knows. There's no way to know. And I went and on opening day, and the paintings are cool, but one of the coolest things you could see there was like there's a sequence of like one of his letters to his friend being like, this is the thing I'm about to paint, and there's a little sketch of it, and then the painting.
That is
Oh,
cool.
And then
wow.
a follow-up letter being like, here's a sketch of the painting. I did the painting.
Wow, that's
yeah,
cool.
and it was like, that's how you communicated that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was my favorite part of the letters.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he would like write around the painting and stuff.
Yeah.
It was very cool.
Yeah.
And then he wrote a letter where he's like, it'd be funny if there was a newsletter of nudes.
Yeah.
And we called it a nudes letter.
He was like, this is a recent
Yeah.
painting of my dick I've been working
Yeah.
on. I'm going to send it to a prostitute I fancy.
Yeah.
Do you think this is going to charm her?
So,
Oh, wait, I had something with the... he would also describe the colors, the bedroom. I guess I don't have anything.
I think it was fun to describe the color. I wonder if he just put like R around different parts of the painting. He's like, imagine red.
Red, yeah. B. for-
R B. Yeah.
B.
Pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
That's the grass.
oh yeah.
Sky
it's like
is all
those,
B.
Those paint by numbers
Yeah.
paintings. Yeah.
There's a legend.
Yeah.
And Theo has to
Those are
complete
fun.
himself. They are fun.
Yeah, paint by numbers.
should have brought some for
Everyone
today.
says paint by numbers like it's a bad thing.
No, it's one of the best things you can
Yeah,
do.
paint by numbers.
in life.
Yeah,
I
I
like
don't know if I've
wine
ever
painting.
Oh, yeah, you like a little sip?
Which
sip and
Vincent
paint?
probably did a lot of
wine painting.
little.
Yeah, Vincent was
sipping-
probably the first sip and paint guy.
Yeah.
Except it was more like chug
Yeah.
and go nuts and piss off your roommates.
I-
I thought it was funny, though, that he, in the letters, bringing it back to the letters, I thought it was funny that he, to his brother, was like, yeah, maybe these figures aren't exact, but I think they're more emotive.
Yeah, that's what he would
Which
do.
is a
That's what he
funny
likes.
excuse.
No, he puts a lot of excuses in his shit. And he's like apologizing so much for his shit.
Yeah, it's very cognitively
Yeah.
dissonant. He's like, no, there's a purpose behind why this drawing of a human man looks like a horse.
Yeah, and Theo has to like dance around these sensitivities because he's so sensitive. He can't
Yeah.
really handle any criticism. So
right,
Theo's,
Vincent's like, you think this is good, right? Or I'll kill myself?
Yeah,
And Theo's
basically.
like, yeah.
Theo's like classic, just like, I love the emotion of what you're doing.
Yeah.
There's a lot of clear, there's definitely paint
Yeah.
on these paintings, and I love
I
how,
like
how,
that you
how
made
much
the
paint you've used.
Sun red.
He actually had a lot of problems with how much paint Vincent was using.
Yeah, because Theo was, we haven't actually said this yet, Theo was supporting him financially.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's getting really into paint. And that, so the
Ricky, not Ricky, Theo. Theo's looking at the spreadsheet. He's like, dude, how are you going through this much paint? Are you eating it?
Yeah, no,
What
when
are
he'd
you
send,
doing
he'd
with the
send him the
paint?
paintings and they're caked on with paint. And he's like, can you just
He
use
holds it
less
sideways.
paint?
It's as thick as it is
Yeah.
long.
Yeah.
It's like a
Dude,
cube.
But that's what's like, photographs of Van Gogh stuff just don't like, that's what they don't express.
Yeah.
You have to see them in person to see how much fucking paint is on these canvases.
You
can
should
see-
be an art dealer.
Dude, you can see the guy's fucking fingerprints in there.
Really?
Yeah, it's fucking caked on paint. They're truly like three-dimensional paintings. Yeah, it basically took a lot of time for Vincent to find his thing. Mm-hmm. And so this was the issue. And this is why it's like he was bad at
Technically.
doing conventional
Yes.
art.
Yeah.
It just took him a very long time because he was so passionate that eventually he figured out how to express his passion in the art in a way where people felt the passion.
Mm-hmm.
And part of that was like, oh, there's layers of paint on here. This guy is really intense. He's like really feeling shit. But he kept trying to do things the conventional way, and it's so bad. He doesn't know how to do it.
And it was at a perfect time too, because the 19th century was getting away from the conventionalism.
Yeah.
And there was a point where I think he was writing a letter to Theo. He goes, maybe I'm not the conventional guy. Maybe I'm not going to be able to
Maybe I'm
do
not,
it
I don't
as-
know, good.
Yeah. But
I could be something else.
Yeah, it really was what it was. And it was the
great.
picture of the guy with the shovel.
Yes.
And he was like, this is who I am.
Yeah, he's like,
I
this is realer than
express
real.
The pain
This is truer than true,
of
baby.
this guy digging.
Yeah, sure. There's no way this man could physically exist. But that's secondary to the emotion of the digging. Yeah, he loved drawing peasants.
In the parsonage, his whole family, they were really... His father raised them a lot with the concept of, like, you reap what you sow. That was, like, almost like the slogans of his family. And so...
A little different than live, laugh, love.
Yeah, and so
That's
they had
wooden,
this...
You
this,
reap what you sow.
This famous painting by that dude Malay or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, it's like it's called like a sower.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like...
Yeah.
And so, like, he's haunted by
That is
this...
a dope painting.
Yeah, he's haunted by this image. And so... He's driven so much by this idea that the more he suffers, the greater his reward will be. You know?
Like that of a farmer? Like the more he breaks his back, the more crops he'll harvest?
Yeah. And so,
Okay.
like, and that's why it's like, so Vincent's putting himself through this unnecessary gauntlet.
Right.
And Theo's footing the bill because, like, this is where Vincent's not very sympathetic because it's a little bit like rich kids that go to New York City and they're like, I'm going to be an authentic artist.
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
Oh, where do you live? This town, this brownstone
Well,
by myself.
My brother and my dad are paying for it, but
Yeah.
I am poor.
Look at
Yeah.
these holes in my jeans.
Yeah.
But it's gross to get out of it in my Maybach.
But they're like not rich. They're like they're like middle to upper middle class.
They
and,
as in
and
the
really
the
just
fajois.
his brother's doing better.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
his brother's not like rich. Like his brother at one point's giving like, I don't know, more than a quarter, maybe half his salary to like Vincent because Vincent's just burning through money. But this is what's fucked up.
That's where all
This
the
is-
money's going.
Theo has to like give him money and the father has to give him money because they're living in a time where like basically they know Vincent's unwell.
Yeah.
But it was at a time where, like, if you had a mentally ill family member, that could fuck up the whole family.
How so?
Because, like, he has unmarried sisters, and they, like, suddenly become, like,
a pariah
damaged,
family.
you know?
Yeah.
Where people are like, we're not married. Their brother's fucking insane.
So Vincent's mental illness is holding the whole family hostage.
Yes.
The
No,
reputation?
they're like all anxious. They're all stressed out. They're all writing letters to each
Yeah.
other about how's Vincent doing.
Yeah. Give
Because,
him all
like,
the pain he needs.
So they're giving him money because they're like otherwise he will literally roam the streets like and you know
Disparage
and
the
he'll
family reputation.
and he'll go like
Yeah.
be publicly like crazy, which is so shameful.
Right.
Yeah, and he's at
We
home
need to
getting
keep
the
him
money like maybe
inside
sunflower.
drawing.
Yeah. And so it's just a lot of Theo is just like placating him, just keeping him from having like public episodes.
breakdowns?
Yeah, it's such a sad dynamic.
Yeah.
Because Theo does love him, and Vincent is an artistic genius, and Theo recognizes that, and Theo loves his brother, and Theo's supporting his brother.
Well, there's also there's no choice.
Well, let's get into how Vincent was like a really tough hang.
Yeah.
He's like a very difficult guy to be around.
Yeah, he's really sensitive. If anyone disagrees with him, he fucking flies off the
Which is
handle.
tough because he's not I mean, he is obviously a genius painter,
Yeah.
but like when he was first starting out, he wasn't great.
Yeah.
And so people are probably trying to give him criticisms
Yeah.
or trying to help him out and stuff. And he's like getting offended. He's he gets into fights with every professional artist that Theo introduces him to.
Yeah, and these
which
are
must
great
have been so
artists.
frustrating.
Yeah, these are like the greats.
He's like, this is Bill Burr. And he's
Yeah.
like, yeah, I don't know. I don't get
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
I don't really understand.
It's like,
Yeah.
your brother's brutal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't hang out with him.
Yeah. And he's saying the types of stuff that's like, it would be the most defensive thing ever. It's like, yeah, actually, I'm kind of trying to go in a direction where I'm not getting laughs.
Yeah.
Because it's like actually realer
Right.
to not get them.
Yes, that's true
Yeah.
comedy.
Yeah. True comedy is the absence of comedy.
Yes.
Yeah.
I do want to say that more just about his personality. I don't like to pathologize people, but I do feel like he had a personality disorder.
For sure.
I feel like he had like borderline or something.
He for sure had a personality disorder, and then it was just
Bipolar,
exacerbated by the
depression.
alcohol and
Right.
probably the fumes from the paint and
Yeah,
Yeah.
all that
yeah,
paint.
and then the syphilis.
He was putting a towel under the door
Yeah.
when he painted.
The paint's here.
and there was like a lot of mold in the yellow house. Like,
Oh, is that why it was yellow? All the mold?
yeah, yeah, it was all yellow. yeah, yeah.
Even when he was like, I think when he and, what's his face? Gauguin. Am I saying it right?
I think Gauguin,
Gauguin?
but it's probably like pronounced like. Yeah, yeah.
I think when he and lived together, even when they were agreeing, Gauguin would be like, "Yeah, it was exhausting." Like they
Yeah.
would be talking about artists and stuff late in the night, and he'd go to bed feeling like he just ran a marathon talking to this guy.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, have you ever talked to somebody who was a little manic, like during an episode?
It's
and you're
exhausting.
like, it's like they
Yeah.
take you into warp speed.
Yeah.
Even if you're in like a car ride and you're shit talking comics, which I feel like is what these guys were doing, like talking about who's good, who's
You
bad,
think that's art?
who's a hack, who's
Yeah.
not. And it's fun at first, but then you're like, oh my God, am I home yet?
Oh yeah.
But that was the good parts of their relationship. And the bad parts is they'd get in fights, he'd cut his ear off, throw it at him, and you only have so many bullets in that
so
in
much
that gun.
cartilage in that head.
Yeah. They don't grow back. But one of my theories is as to why Vincent and Theo's relationship, and I'm interested to hear your opinion as the book reader.
Right, as the guy who read a book.
As the guy who read the whole
Yeah.
book. One of the reasons that their relationship was so strong is because of the distance between them and because their correspondence was occasional. So he wrote 800 letters or so over
Yeah.
18 years, which is only about like one every 10 days.
Right.
Which is a very manageable relationship to keep up. Corresponding once every 10 days about something you're already interested in, like art. Like, I feel like if they had phones, every day Theo would wake up from 18 missed calls from Vincent.
Yeah.
Being like, I have a
Yeah.
problem. Wait, I solved it. I have another one. Is this good? Am I bad?
A bunch of gifts.
A
What do you
bunch
think?
of, a bunch of gifts, yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like the fact that they were separated and the fact that they communicated by letters is why their relationship was so strong. Because when they eventually lived together, they kind of got on each other's nerves real bad.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I think it's
Think it's a decent theory? You think
that
I'm wrong
makes-
again?
No, I think that makes sense. It definitely would have been way worse with phones.
Yeah.
Let alone FaceTime or anything like that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Dude, that'd be funny.
He's at a
like-
gallery just like screening his calls.
Yeah.
And then he
Yeah.
sends him a picture of like a shadow outline of a scissor around his ear.
Yeah.
He's like,
Yeah.
I'll fucking do it. He's always threatening to cut off body parts.
Dude, some of the letters though, he would
They get
write
sassy?
Dude, he would write letters. It's so funny in retrospect. He would write letters where he'd be like all pissed off at Theo. He's like, "You don't believe in me. You're being a fucking asshole." And then in the same letter at the end be like, "Hey, sorry about all that stuff I wrote."
Just earlier.
Yeah.
When he's like, my hand's tired. I'm not going to write a whole new letter.
Yeah.
That was an hour
And
ago.
it's like, Vincent, you don't have to send this. Like he's writing like it's a live,
Yeah.
like he's on the phone.
yeah. You can't unsay it.
Yeah.
Another letter comes, and again about that first
Yeah.
letter, I really apologize.
He's like, I don't think
Now that I'm thinking of it, I don't apologize. Fuck you, it just goes
yeah,
back.
the last one. P.S.
Fuck you.
Never mind.
Yeah.
No, but it is a great point too, because from Theo's perspective, if Vincent's being like writing insane stuff, like you can also just wait a while to send a letter.
Yeah.
Because
you
you
can
can just
cool
be
off.
like, "Oh, I didn't get that letter,"
Yeah.
or "Oh, they didn't send my letter because there was so much dirt. There was too much dirt.
The
in
rains,
the road.
the rains
Dirt in
have
the
been
road.
heavy
Yeah, the-
recently.
The rains
The
dug up a
rains
lot of
got
dirt.
up a lot of dirt.
Yeah, no
And,
guy was showing up at your door like he read it.
Yeah. Oh my
Yeah.
god. It's
A read receipt.
Yeah. It's just the guy takes it. He's
He's like,
looking
I
at-
saw him read it.
Yeah, he's just reading it.
He read it like 3
Yeah.
weeks ago.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
pretty good weather. Pigeons
Yeah.
are flying. I don't know why he's
I got
not-
here in
yeah.
record time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's doing it.
I actually have,
And he started writing another one and then stopped. He definitely read it and started
He wrote to
writing
somebody
one.
else, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
He drew a picture of his, all right,
Yeah.
of his what?
not, his family.
Yeah.
Yes. What else we got?
Yes.
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 Look, I'm trying
Yes.
I'm trying to keep the ship moving forward.
Just find it.
Yes.
Can I get a yas?
Yes.